everybody. Welcome back to the Divergent Comics podcast. Today I'm back with another indie comic creator interview. And today we have Fabrice Sapolsky. Did I say that? I said that right? Perfect.
You're good. Thanks, man.
I'm a real big proponent of pronouncing people's names right. Names have meaning. So I always want to get that right. But Fabrice, I think we met on Threads, if I remember correctly.
Yes, you posted something, and I was like, "Oh, I need to be on that post. Absolutely need to be there."
Yeah, so like I posted on Threads at the beginning of the year about doing indie comic creator interviews, and slowly but surely I've been making my way through my list, and so I'm glad to finally get Fabrice on here to talk about his multiple projects, because when he did the forum, it was just one book, and I was like, okay, cool, that's great. And then like since then, it's just been an explosion. So we'll definitely dive into that in more detail. But Fabrice, nice to finally meet you. Can you kind of give a short introduction of who you are and your like three things that interest you, I would say.
Okay, so who am I? I'm a human first. The end. That was short? No, I'm kidding. So I'm a comic book creator, writer, artist, editor, designer, publisher, all of the above. I love this. This is my passion. I've been in the publishing industry for 28 years.
Mm-hmm.
The current company that I co-own with my wife and my son, it's a family, but also an immigrant and minority owned company, is called Fair Graphics. We've been around since 2019, and we've had quite a few adventures, especially since 2025 when our distributor went bankrupt. And we're very big, and I'm very big on two things. Number one, representation, very important. Like being immigrant and minority owned gives us not just responsibility, but also clarity to really offer products from underrepresented characters like ourselves. So we try to open the doors to as many as we can with the limited means we have. And the second thing that I'm extremely passionate about is creators' rights. We live in a time and space where creators are abused on a daily basis. And I'm not just talking about the internet. I'm also talking about predatory deals. I'm talking about also art that is stolen and exploited by other people. I'm talking about royalties that are unfairly distributed. There's a lot of stuff. And when we created Fair Square Graphics, it was all about this. It was all about not only offering a platform for creators of all kinds to express themselves, but also do it as safely as possible in the space that we can give them. And I often say that I don't treat other creators like children, but I also apply it to myself. Like being a creator, I need to set an example. And that's what Crystal, Ethan, and myself are doing at Fair Square Graphics. Now, three things. You say three things that I like?
Yes.
That's what you said? Oh, the first thing that I really like to do is to create. Whether I have the writer's hat on or the artist hat on, like right now I'm doing multiple things at once, like any entrepreneur would do. One of them is handling crowdfunding campaigns. The other one is to promote and tour. I just wrapped 4 conventions in 4 weeks, so I was all across the country. And
no,
yes.
All the reason I'm laughing, you guys, because when I was trying to schedule this, we were trying to get the dates aligned, and Fabrice was like, "Yeah, basically the entire month of March, I'm going to be at a show every weekend."
That's true. Like
that's brutal.
That's brutal. I think I spent 5 days in my own bed in
Oh my
March.
goodness.
So that's
That's crazy.
how bad it is. But at the same time, look, this is a very tough industry, and
Hmm.
especially when you are who we are, and fighting a good fight, and also fighting an industry that is resisting change, that is
Hmm.
resisting people like us.
Yeah.
The best way to to be heard and to be seen is still having that grassroots field approach. When we go to the people, we go like in the summer we go outside and we sell our books in the streets. We've
Hmm.
done that multiple times, and so the rest of the year we go to convention centers and we meet real people. And I
Hmm.
always say that readers, fans slash people, they never lie to you. Either they like what you're doing and they want to invest on it, they want to buy your products, or they don't, and that's fine. But unfortunately, distributors, retailers, to a certain extent, they're gatekeepers. They're sometimes they refuse to display your books. They refuse to buy them. They refuse to put them on shelves for people to make their own decisions. So
Hmm.
in order not to be excluded and to reach our audience, I need to make that extra effort to go to people. And so, yes, I was in Seattle, I was in Cleveland, I was in Orlando, I was in Chicago. Tomorrow, I'm going to Boston, and so on and so forth. And it's going to be that like 35 to 40 times a year.
That is
So,
insane.
it, yes, but that's the price you pay for being an independent with a catalog of underrepresented creators. And it's I think it's valid for any form of entertainment. Nobody gives a damn about what you're doing. You have to make people care.
Hmm.
And the only way to make people care, according to me, in my humble opinion, is to create a relationship with them. So to be there, to go to them, and they were like, "Oh, but where can we find you? Your books look interesting. They sound interesting. They feel
Hmm.
interesting because we put a lot of effort in how they're made, and the quality of the paper, how you touch them, um, and on top of the design and on top of everything. It's not because we're small that we're cheap, or it's not because we're small that we're dumb. You know, I come from design, and design has always been a priority for everything that I've done. So it we are boxing constantly above our weight. So that's the first thing that I like, is like creating.
Okay.
Um, and I would say creating and creating, because when I write, it's not the same as when I draw, and when I draw is not the same as when I design or when I edit. The editor's job is actually a very interesting job that not a lot of people know
Or
about.
respect.
It's the person behind the team.
Hmm.
It's like a coach.
Yeah.
It's like a coach, but also a midwife and a therapist and a and also a financial advisor. Sometimes um, it's the person that will help the team squeeze the best of their talent.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like uh, it's not a pretty job because you don't get any flowers. You don't really, your name is not there. It's not prominent. But that's precisely how I like it. I like it because it's humbling, and it's easy when you're a creator and one of your titles has success or had success to drink your own Kool Aid, and being the editor right after, take a little slap on the face, and you're like, okay, you're just that guy, and you need to keep working, you need to keep progressing, and these talents, they're sometimes better than you. They're often better than you, and you have to raise your game.
Mm. That's a really good point. Um, so it's funny. I've done quite a bit of these like comic creator interviews and talked
Mhm.
to lots of people on various spectrums, whether it be someone who's just the writer, someone who's the writer artist, someone who's just the artist, and everyone has like their own views of how like they feel success is gained in this industry and how they feel they can approach being successful, whether it's for them personally or just for others to kind of take grasp of. But this is the first time I've been able to get someone on who has their hand in all of it, who also is an editor. And I think that gives you a very unique perspective because a lot of people don't really see the value in editors. Like usually when people are tight against a budget, they're like, well, I can cut out, paying for an editor. So I'll
Yeah,
just,
but you're weakening your chances. You're
yep.
like, and also you lose the distance. Like
Mm,
even me as a creator, I hire editors.
mm-hmm.
I'm an editor and I hire editors. And the first thing that I ask them is to kick my ass. And they have to. They have to, because if they don't, they're complacent.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're complacent, the product is not going to be as good as I can make it. They need to tell me I suck sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important. So I apply those rules to myself. I'm an omniscient. I don't know everything, and I will fail. And sometimes I will fail against my own will. And every creator is like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about a conversation. It's about being able to listen. It's about being able to keep your mind open, and especially people who disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is something that we're confronted to constantly online. We see people, even people that are, we can call friends, that have opinions that they display. It's unsolicited opinions. We never asked for them to release them in public, but you see them,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you're hurt. It happened to me a lot. Just like everybody, sometimes you're hurt by your own friends, and you're like, okay, do I want to cut that person out, or do I want to make sure that we keep the conversation so they understand where I'm coming from, and they're not prisoner of their views, prisoner of a ideology or a community.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing also, that it's part of my personal story. I'm an immigrant. I come from another set of cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to the United States 11 years ago, precisely to be serious about my comic book career. And I feel it's also my responsibility to keep people's mind opens, opened, and to make sure that they're not here, they also listen.
That's really good. I like that.
Well, I
So,
don't succeed. Like, newsflash, sometimes I fail. I'm a human,
mm-hmm.
but um, but it's important. It's important.
It's very important. So
Has a tendency to be an island, like
that
cultural,
is very true. Yeah, yeah. Individualism is killing us.
or political correctness. And
Mm-hmm.
political correctness has many faces. Sometimes it's very progressive, sometimes it's very reactionary or conservative, but it's still political correctness. That means that it's what you see online and you want to chime in and just say the same thing that your friend said 5 minutes earlier. Will it make you cool? Maybe. Will it make you uncool? Maybe. Is it your real opinion? Are you informed enough? Do you have multiple sources of information? I started my career, as I said, I come from design, but I also was a journalist for 15 years. And the first thing you do when you're a journalist is to confront point of views that are different,
Mm-hmm.
until you can create a version that is the closest to the truth. And most people don't work like that. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to see a person I trust spitting something out, and I'm going to believe them. And we live in an era where belief is more important than reality. It's more important than truth. And we have opinions on stuff that happen 1,000 miles away or at the corner of our street, but we don't necessarily know anything about. So we have to be careful and especially when it comes to the creative space, because what you're going to do is going to have an impact on other people. So we have to be responsible. And that's also the role of an editor, is to be not just responsible, but also educate, build bridges, and I feel like Fair Square Graphics our company, because we all come from different backgrounds, is that like I'm super proud to welcome creators that are different. Like we had Indonesian creators, we had a Tunisian creator, we had Australian, we had Africans, we had like really people from everywhere, like Vietnamese. Um, and it's important because, again, it humbles you. It's like these people come from backgrounds that don't necessarily know who you are, but what brings you together is the love of comics and the desire to convey stories, to share them with the world. The worst thing that can happen to a creator is to stop creating. That would mean that stories die inside of you, and that is unacceptable.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is very unacceptable. So, question for you: what inspired you to go into creating? Because I mean, especially coming from a journalist side to being in design, what kind of bridged that gap for you to make comics?
I think it was always there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in denial and I had fear. I was a shy kid. I lost my dad when I was 11. It kind of like broke
Mm-hmm.
my confidence. And it took me years to really be myself. And every step that I took, whether it's design and then journalism and then comic book creation, um, it was a step of me gaining confidence and stepping into the person I was always destined to be. And I
Mm-hmm.
was always a creator. It's just that sometimes I would dismiss my own ideas, like, oh, it's not good enough, or it's not, bold enough. And then you realize that at one point you need to jump and you need to make it. And for me, it came out as a happy accident.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I had this idea for a book that ended up at Marvel Comics, and I talked about my project to a friend. He said no, then he said yes, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, the book is out, and then there's no way back. And it's one of the things, like I was a comic book journalist, and all of a sudden I become a comic book creator, and I'm like, I'm a fraud. Like I cannot be judge and party. This is not happening. So I had to make that choice of, do I want to keep being a journalist, but that's not really what interested me at that time anymore, or do I want to step again into the unknown and become a comic book creator? And I chose the latter, and that's the thing. And then after I realized that I could write stories and people would buy those, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, but what's next? And I always loved going to comic book conventions, and I was not making any money as a writer. And one of my friends said, well, you should draw. You probably can because you come from design. And it took me 10 years, but now I can draw. I actually finished this book, The Big Lie, that I completely wrote and drew.
Okay.
And it's those things. It's about the journey. It's about pushing your own limits and thinking that, well, you're still human. You're not bulletproof, but you have to try because we only have one life. And now my motivation is legacy.
I
I
like
have
that.
grandkids. I have kids. I have grandkids. And it's like, okay, what are the stories that I want to leave them? What
Mm-hmm.
are the characters that I want to leave them? And that's what motivates me every morning, and spending 15, 16 hours working on this stuff.
That is actually awesome. I feel like when it comes to creatives in general, most of us have that in like the back of the mind, but don't really think about that legacy of, okay, what am I going to leave after I'm gone? But to
Right.
have that as something that you actively pursue and are striving towards is actually a goal that I think many more people would or should really strive towards, because if you're striving for that legacy, it forces you to put more effort into it. It forces you to be
Right.
more of your better
I
self
mean,
when it comes to that.
exactly. You're paying attention to what you're putting out.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're not just spitting out content like out of rage or out of like necessity or like insecurity. You're putting out content that will matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conversation that my wife and I have all the time. She's also a stand-up comedian. Like she's doing a stand-up comedy show that is uh, designed by Black women for everybody, and it's called the Astigmatism Comedy Show, and it's in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can attend. It's the third Saturday of each month, and we always talk about this. Is like, what do you bring to the culture?
I like
What do you
that.
bring to the culture? And in the case of Crystal, not only she brings that show and her comedy craft, but she's also a comic book writer now because of what we're doing at Fair Square Graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And every issue that she writes is about that, with that same thing in mind. What do we bring to the culture? When I do a book like The Big Lie that I just showed, or even a book like this one that is also very recent, No Future. Oop, here it is. It's about a world that lives without time. Time disappears, and then these survivors of time have to rebuild a world without time. We're not programmed for that, and so those concepts force us to think about what we're doing, think about the culture, think about what we are bringing, and I like that. Every book is harder to write or draw than the previous one. And I'm not doing that on purpose. I think it's my brain mechanically telling me if it's not going to be a challenge, then it's not worth fighting for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and also I think it's a curse. Like you,
Yeah.
you have more ideas than time to realize them. You know, to make them happen. And that has been my challenge. It's like I've published 8 graphic novels so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how come I'm almost 56 years old and I only have 8 graphic novels? This is not enough. And how many good years do I have? So I have this kind of urgency to create. And I have like 6 or 7 projects in the works at the same time that are at different stages of production. Because I want that. I want that legacy. I want that catalog.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at my peers, people like Will Eisner, people like Jack Kirby, people like Mike Mignola, Ed Brubaker, like Frank Miller, those great creators that already have, like at the time, like some of them are not with us anymore. Some of them are in their 60s or 70s, and they already have a body of work that is impressive. And I'm like, I only revealed myself as a comic book creator. I was 38.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to make up for the lost time.
Well, based off of what you've shown me prior to us recording and just being able to look through your book that you sent in, Shakespeare's Vampires.
Oh, Shakespeare's Vampires. Yes, let's show Shakespeare's Vampires. It's here.
Yeah, I can confidently say that you are definitely making up for lost time.
So Shakespeare's Vampires is a very interesting story. For example, like it's a concept that I came up with in 2010
Mm-hmm.
at the height of the Twilight craze.
Yeah, it feels very Twilight coded.
Yeah, and it was the concept was still the same. It was Romeo and Juliet as vampires, and they were a pair of twins that were kind of like sitting in between, and are kind of like are the reader in the book. But at first, it was supposed to be a full on comic story. It was supposed to be like almost a manga. You know, I hired a manga artist to do it, and no one wanted it. No publisher wanted it. And then at the time, I was on another couple of projects. I didn't have the money to fund this one, so it sat in a drawer for 15 years until I found the right people to partner with, in the shape of Colleen Douglas, who is an Afro-Caribbean British writer who's crazy about Shakespeare. Who wouldn't be when you're British? And it was like not just the meeting of the minds, but she took my world, the world that I built, and built more on top. And then we were joined by Lisa, and an Brazilian Japanese artist who I met while working on another project. And I always wanted her to do this book, but her time was limited and her storytelling techniques are not as refined as the one that I want. So we created this hybrid between prose and sequential art that people call light novel, but I think it's more than that. It's more than a novel, and it's more than a graphic novel. It's really a hybrid project. And when people see it in real life, they're like crazy about it. Like, we can't, like, I was in Chicago last weekend. The book was literally flying off the table. Like, we were sold out after a day and a half. And it just tells you that the public is hungry for new stuff. And unfortunately, we are in a time where there's a lot of stuff coming, but not everything is fresh. Everyone can be a creator thanks to crowdfunding platforms, but that doesn't mean, where do you draw the line between a project for the culture and a vanity project? You know, and by doing stuff like what we're doing, I mean, Shakespeare's Vampire is a light novel, but I was mentioning The Big Lie earlier, which is also a light novel. It's a format that I'm now very comfortable with, like, and it also allows me to create faster, because when you write, you can write faster than you draw.
That's true.
So having this kind of ratio that moves, like Shakespeare's Vampires is 90% prose and 10% graphic novel, but The Big Lie is 30% graphic novel and 70% prose. And who knows, maybe next time it's going to be 50-50. I don't know yet. I want to keep that open because the story also guides you. The story tells you where to go. And at one point, when your world building is refined enough, the characters are telling you what they want to say.
That's true, yeah.
They speak in your head. And this is my favorite part of the job, is when my characters wake me up and say, hey, I want to say this. And I might be crazy, but it's my MO. You know, it's how I hear them whispering in my ear, or I hear their voice, which no one can hear but myself.
Yeah.
And
until you put it on a page, at least.
When I put it on page, they can read it, but they won't necessarily sound.
It won't sound the same, right?
The same as what I have in my head. But yeah, it's like all these projects, they come like meeting people. Like, comics are a very collaborative medium. This is not like, I know a few people that are very controlling and very selfish in comics, but I would say that is not the norm. The norm is we're multiple people working on projects. It's also why I love anthologies. Like, I did a couple of anthologies that I want to show you. So there's the anthology that actually started the company. Oof. It's a book called Noir is New Black. This is an issue, but it's a collection of noir stories by Black creators. And we started this program in 2020. We didn't know anything about anything. I was just angry. I was just angry at what happened to George Floyd. And I was talking to my friend T.C. Harris, who's a very, very, I would call him an activist, a Black activist, because he's from a family of activists. At the time, he was doing some web content, some online content, still does it to a certain extent. And I told him, like, I don't know what to do. And he said, like, you should do what you know how to do if you want to help the community, and that's making comics. And so I said, okay, if I hold the mic and I create the frame, but the those Black creators will have to be unfiltered. And he said, okay, cool. And we did it together. We edited the book together. And so far, about 68, 69 creators have worked with us in the
That's
last
awesome.
6 years. Yeah, we revealed some. We gave an encore to others. We got people asking to join. We got a movie director. we had people we had comedians. It was really people from a lot of different creative backgrounds who joined us for Noirs in the Black for this project that is bigger than us. You know, it's really bigger than us. And the other one, and without Noirs in the Black, I couldn't have done this one, Hyphen.
I've definitely seen that circling in social media.
Right. Hyphen is a collection of stories of Jewish diversity. So you have, and again, it's the same thing. It's how can you present a positive message while entertaining? And the difference being that Noirs the New Black is fiction and Hyphen is nonfiction. But how can you present that in a light that it will go beyond the community it is designed for?
Mm-hmm.
It will be for everybody. And I think it's my son Ethan, who's also a shareholder. He found the tagline for the company, and our tagline is "Stories from the Rest of Us," because it's from us immigrants and minorities, but for the rest of the world. Nothing makes me happier than when people come, regardless of their background, ethnicity, skin color, or anything, and they buy a book that is not naturally from their community. And they stop at the table and they're like, that looks interesting. I want to read that. And that's a win. That's my win.
Yeah, that is a win. That's a huge win.
Comics are one of those tools that are universal, and they're there to build bridges between people, not to draw barriers.
That is true. Yeah. I call it the great uniter, because
I agree.
You literally can be from any background, any age, any gender, and you can literally connect with a story across the board, which is why it never makes sense to me why some of the biggest hateful type people want to be in comics. It never made sense to me. But
no, and if you look at how our industry was created, it was created by a bunch of Jewish guys that had no money and couldn't have access to education because they were barred from universities in the 1930s. And they created a universe where any outcast, Superman being an outcast, Spider-Man being an outcast, that any outcast can identify those characters and make them their own and part of their own story. And I think it lives through us. We have a responsibility as creators to keep the door open, not just to creators, but also to stories that are not us. Hence the mission that Fair Square Graphics is trying to keep in the world.
Yeah, I love that. And usually I try to go about my interviews a certain way, but I love how you were able to seamlessly interweave your stories throughout this conversation, to where like you talked about certain things that specifically hit on certain points that we've been talking about. So it's perfect, because the way that your stories tell and talk about specific themes that people can relate to and people can connect with, I think that's what makes them such, not only just eye-grabbing because the designs are really bold, really vibrant, but also like the stories themselves tell deeper meanings behind what you're trying to convey. And I think that works with how you are as a person, just based off of this brief interaction we've had, that the stories that you're telling give off how much you care about people in general. And I think that's really awesome.
I do care. Sometimes it's to my own detriment. But I do care about people. I care about other creators. I care about everyone who is going to respect me and my people. And and when I say my people, it's multiple families of people. It's like comic book creators, French, where I'm from, the Jewish people, the like people of the Black community that I consider my people because I was literally adopted when I came here
Oh
uh,
wow.
by the Black American community, and like 80% of my friends are Black. And my wife is Black. It's just sometimes you understand that to get people to open their heart, you have to open yours first.
Mm.
And if you don't do that, nothing's gonna happen. You know, I like literally wear my heart on my sleeve, and people show it. I can't hide it. I am who I am. Like sometimes it will annoy people, to be polite,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they will say, okay, well, that's this guy. He's on the fringes. Okay, if that's my space. I'm on the fringes. I don't mind being integrated in other circles that are different. Um, like I have a strong um, client culture. Like I've been a freelancer for so many years that if I have a client, I will respect that client, and whatever they want, I'll try to bring them without hurting my sensibilities and my morals. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and try to have everything work together. Fortunately, you also attract the people that are like you. And
That is true.
I am very, very fortunate to have a lot of people that are like me in this industry and beyond,
Mm-hmm.
on two continents. So it's really a great adventure, the great human adventure to live this life and to be able to tell stories and to be able to share it with the world, share them with the world.
That is awesome. I love that. That was part of the reason why I started doing these interviews was to be able to get people to tell their stories so more people can support those stories. Because at the end of the day, we need stories like what you're telling with Foursquare comics to
Fair
be able
Square Graphics. Let me
Square,
repeat.
Square graphics.
Fair
That
Square Graphics.
right, Fair Square graphics. To
Thank
we need those stories from like those type of creatives to be able to get. I feel like to get the world to a better place. Like stories aren't going to change the world, but it's going to at least help change someone's mind.
Well,
And then
let me give you another example, and you're going to enjoy this.
okay,
So there's this book here called Happy Endings. Okay.
hmm
This is one of the most recent books that we've published at Fair Square Graphics. It is a supernatural romance queer anthology.
hmm
These three words are not necessarily good together, but they are here. And depending on who you are, your brain is going to print the right word that is good for you: supernatural, or romance, or queer, or all three. And then you can, we sold this book to so many different people, like Mr. Macho Man, super queer, trans, women, men from all backgrounds. This book is a feel good book.
mm
And it really embodies not just our mission, but also how I perceive publishing. Is every publisher, you could say, like, when you're publishing books, like you see a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to launch my publishing company. I want to do this. I want to do that. But again, apart from what am I bringing to the culture is like, how do I curate that?
hmm
How do I create a mix that is not just the same flavor? Like, there's one thing that I hate above everything, and I think you can relate to that, is to be put in a box. I
Yes,
would to be put in
absolutely
a
agree.
box.
hmm
And it's like, well, Michael Jackson could sing and dance, so why would he just sing? He has to dance because that's how his body wants to respond to the music.
hmm
And or he wanted to be an actor. Okay, no problem. Michael Jackson can be an actor. He was. And so why, as creator, should we be just one thing? We are multiple things. And some other people, like, who say, oh yeah, but I'm just the writer, or I'm just the artist. You are not. You're a creator, you're a storyteller. You have one way of telling your stories, but you could tell your story in a different way and it would still work. Like when you're an artist and you say, I'm not a writer, you actually are, because the way you are laying down your panels, laying out your pages, it's
That's
a
true.
way of telling stories. So you're a storyteller. And if a writer says like, well, I'm not an artist, I can only draw stick figures. Well, good. Draw stick figures, make them interesting. Give them great balloons. You're a storyteller. At one point, the essence of what you bring to the table is going to pop up. And that's what you want people to see. It doesn't matter that you feel that you don't have the best talent, you're not excelling in everything. I don't excel in everything. I'm probably an average writer and an average artist. But the package that I can put out, again, is good enough for people to feel that they want to read that. And that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the important.
I agree. This has been great to really just get to know more about you, Fabrice, and your company, Foursquare
Fair
Graphics.
Square
Crap,
Graphics.
I'm going to get it right one day. Fair Square Graphics.
You will.
I'm sorry about that.
FSG.
You know what? Actually, that's what I'm going to start saying. Just FSG.
FSG. That works.
But so I guess my last question, just to kind of wrap things up, so I don't take up your whole day. But if you could give any piece of advice to an up and coming creator, what would your advice be?
Don't wait for any authorization. Do it now. Do it already. Put that shit out. Because honestly, like, don't wait for validation, especially in this day and age where, I mean, it probably hasn't been lost on you then. In every creative industry, since the emergence of social media and online media, research and development, artist and representation, all these things have disappeared from mainstream studios. So you can't really be discovered and nurtured and be taken from point A to point B until you're ready. You have to be ready so that people can see you in the best possible way. So the only way for you to get ready is to produce, is to create, is to put stuff out, have people react negatively, positively, like, not like. When I started drawing, I decided to do it in the face of the world. And I was posting every crap piece I had. When I had no likes, that was like, okay, that's not good enough. I need to persevere. I need to bring myself to the next level. And I kept working until I became confident enough that people were reacting to, and even to this day, sometimes I will post a turd. It will not be like, sometimes you're at a show, people ask you for a drawing and you're tired and you're not in the right conditions. You don't draw the best thing you can draw. And you have to be humble about it. I'm still posting it. And that doesn't mean that I'm ashamed of it. No, some people paid for that piece. So I'm not ashamed of it, but it's like, okay, that's a reminder that you're not there. You can always be better. You haven't peaked yet. That's my nightmare. It's like the day I peak. And I don't want to think about that day where I peak and then like everything that I produce was better before. So nope, this is not going to happen. I'm going to push that limit as far as I can and keep producing better and better and better as long as I can.
I like that. That actually inspired me, to keep pushing, because I don't ever want to hit my peak either. I don't think anyone should ever want to hit their peak.
Yeah. No, you don't want that.
No.
F that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Fabrice, for jumping on here, allowing me to pick your brain and really talk about you, your stories, and Fair Square Graphics. I got it right this time.
There you go.
Tell the people where they can find you, follow you, and get more of your work.
So I'm easily accessible on social platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, under my own name at Fabrice Sapolsky. And also Fair Square Graphics at Fair Square Graphics. all attached on all platforms. Very easy to find. And I would say at a convention near you, because if people
Who
are
knows?
on this country, in this country, and they're looking, they can find me or Fair Square Graphics. We're gonna visit you. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be in Phoenix. We're gonna be in Atlanta. We're gonna be in Boston. We're gonna be in Chicago again. There's just a lot of places where we're gonna be.
That is
In New York, of course, because that's our hometown.
exactly. Got to be in New York.
Yes,
that's great. Thank you, Fabrice, again. Look forward to meeting you at a future con.
absolutely.
Hopefully, sometime.
Don't be a stranger, Garrett.
I won't, for sure. I won't. Well, everyone, this has been the Divergent Comics podcast. Go follow Fabrice. All links will be in the description below. Until then, read some comics.